If I wanted to lose 5 to 10 pounds of stubborn body fat in January 2025, banish it for good, then here is the exact blueprint that I would use. I have lost 50 pounds of stubborn body fat myself and kept it off for years. And as the founder and CEO of Team CBM, a worldwide online coaching company for women, we have transformed hundreds of women to become incredibly confident in their bodies and in their minds. And this is the exact formula that I would provide my younger self and that I provide our clients with. Ultimately, the first thing that you need is to know how many calories to be eating. That's what fat loss is. It is, are you expending more energy than what you're consuming? Are there more calories going out than the calories going in? So firstly, we need to make sure that you're in a calorie deficit. But how do you determine if your calorie deficit is correct? How do you know where to begin? There's a lot of mixed information on social media nowadays. In fact, it's quite exhausting and it frustrates me. I think it's more difficult now than it used to be in the past to actually find out the correct information. And as a result of that, I got fed up and created my own calorie calculator to be able to give accurate measures of how much calories, how many calories, how much protein you should be eating in order to lose body fat successfully. And it depends on the rate at which you want to lose it. Some of you might be listening to this and thinking, I think it'd be better if I started slower, if I started steadier, so I can get a nice and sustainable result. Some of you might think, I want to go fast. I want to get this body fat off quickly. I've got certain things I need to get my body in shape for. So depending on the rate at which you want to lose body fat, I can help. Just click in the description box and you will find my free calorie calculator. You just need to enter some information like your age, your height, how active you are. When you enter your email address, you will have that sent through with all the information and the different macros or calories that you will need depending on the rate of fat loss that you want. So that ultimately is step one, to know how much food to consume. After that, how do you know if you're eating that amount of food? It's where getting confident with tracking calories is amazing. And the beautiful thing that we have nowadays is ChatGPT. You don't have to just rely on a calorie tracking app. You can take the amount of calories and the amount of protein that you have, and you can put that into ChatGPT and say, hey, can you create me a meal plan that has 3 meals and a snack? And I don't like celery and I don't like carrots, but I really like chocolate. And can you make this meal plan so it's full of the foods that I love and not full of the foods that I hate? And actually, can we make sure that the ingredients take no longer than 10 minutes to prepare? So you can make it so easy for yourself by just taking that calorie number and then going into ChatGPT and saying, now create me a meal plan. And if you stick to the exact quantities and measurements that ChatGPT has told you for your meal plan, guess what? You stick to that each day, the body fat is going to be melting off of you, absolutely melting off of you. If you do want to just track your calories, then what I would say is commit to learning how to get accurate with tracking calories. With apps like MyFitnessPal, NutriCheck, whatever they might be, you need to appreciate that the data that is put into those apps is put in by other people. It's a shared database where other people put in the certain calories and macronutrients of a product, but it might not be correct. So you need to be very vigilant at checking that the number of calories on that product is the same as what comes up in the database when you're looking at the ingredients panel. So be meticulous with how you're tracking your food and learn how to track food. When you scan in rice, is that rice that you're scanning in into MyFitnessPal dry weight or is it cooked weight? You need to know because they weigh different amounts. But to make it nice and easy for yourself, I would highly recommend sticking to relatively similar foods and maybe asking ChatGPT to create a nutrition plan for you, maybe a nutrition plan for calories where you are wanting to achieve fat loss maybe faster on the days where you move a little bit less. And then on other days where you are moving more or you're exercising, you have more calories to play with. This is the other thing. If you say to ChatGPT, okay, here's the average amount of calories that I need to eat every single day across the week in order to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Now, can you tell me if on the 4 days of the week where I'm exercising, I wanted to eat more calories? Can you create a meal plan for that day? And can you create a meal plan for my rest days? Guess what? It will do it for you and tell you the exact amount of the food that you need to be eating. Now, of course, you're only actually going to see the body fat melt off if you do what the meal plan says or you stick to that exact amount of calories. If you're somewhere in between, it's not going to happen. And what I mean by somewhere in between is you're kind of tracking as you go along, but you're not tracking everything, or you're kind of sticking to the meal plan and the ingredients and the quantities, but then you're adding in extra things. No, not acceptable. If you want successful fat loss, you have to do it meticulously. You have to, because if you are eating things, drinking things that have calories in, and you're not factoring that into your calorie target, or you're having extra things that are not on the meal plan, or slightly different things that kind of look like what's on the meal plan but not really, it's not going to happen. I've had it happen time and time and time again with clients who in the past have thought that they can add in extra things here and there because they're healthy foods, like adding in tons of chickpeas and lentils to some of their meals, when that wasn't part of that meal. And guess what? That's a whole lot of carbs that you're adding in. That's a whole lot of calories across the week that takes you out of a calorie deficit. Guess what? Where it says a low carb green vegetable, such as these ones that are listed on your nutrition plan, it does not include an avocado. So don't perceive avocado to be a low carb vegetable because it's not listed in that list, right? Avocados, really high in calories. Or thinking that nuts are super healthy. Actually, nuts are healthy, but they're also really, really high in fat, and they're not quite helpful to eat a whole lot of when you're in a fat loss phase. So my point is, if you're going to do it properly. Do it exactly as what the meal plan says, or do not go a single calorie over the target that is set for you and that you're tracking through the food tracking apps. You must weigh everything out to the exact unit of measure. If it says 3 ounces, it's 3 ounces. If it says 100 grams, it's 100 grams. Be meticulous. The more intentional you are about anything in your life, the better your results will be. And if in 2025 you want to get good results and you want to get those fast, then go get them, honey, but do the work and make sure that you're being really intentional about sticking to that plan perfectly. The next thing that I would do is I would move more. Quite simply put, move more. And you might think, okay, well, how much? Just more than what you're doing now. Because ultimately, if your body has got used to this amount of movement and used to the amount of food that's coming in, that's why you are the weight that you are now. So if you challenge your body by moving more and having to expend more energy, and you are tracking your food to be in a calorie deficit, what are you creating? You're creating a bigger calorie deficit. So your body actually needs to tap into its energy reserves, its energy stores, which is body fat, because you're moving more. So maybe take a few days where you monitor the average amount that you move. Let's say you already are doing 10,000 steps per day. Okay, then start doing 12 or 13,000 steps per day. Maybe you'll start to add in 30 to 40 minutes of cardio each week if you don't do any cardio. If you're already doing some cardio, add in more. So it's about doing more than what you're doing now, but it's also about being consistent. Okay, so consistency always trumps intensity. Let me repeat that. Consistency always beats intensity. Now, you might think, okay, well, I can do a whole lot of steps this week, but not so many steps next week. Do you know what? That's fine. Good thinking. Because if you're wanting to do a little bit more where you can, that's absolutely a-okay. As long as you're not expecting the next week to be able to do 15,000 steps per day. Be honest with yourself and be real with yourself. There are certain weeks where I'm so busy with work that I know, okay, my 4 workouts, we're going to have to drop that down to 3. And the amount of steps that I usually get, we're going to have to drop that down a little bit more. But the beautiful thing is, because I know that I'm moving less, what do? I eat a little bit less. And then I go into ChatGPT and say, hey, now I'm going to eat 200 calories less for this next week, where I know I'm way more busy and constrained for time. But you don't do that to the point where it becomes compromising. You don't eat so little that you start to eat into muscle tissue, right? Because that's where undereating means that you can't perform, you can't exercise, and you're not protecting your hormones or your muscle mass. And for women, that's very dangerous. So when I've sent over, from the calculations that I've done, the calorie target that you need to be sticking to, you stick to that, because that's applicable to your body and to your activity level. If you're someone who thinks that crash dieting on 1,000, 1,200 calories is a good idea, honey, let me tell you right now, you're going to end up in a binging yo-yo dieting cycle because it's not sustainable long term. So it's about what is sustainable. What can you be consistent with? And this is where I like to use ranges, right? Ranges are incredible because they are great for those of us that know that we have certain fluctuations within how much we're able to move. Or maybe as a female, there's certain days where we're a little bit more hungry. So you could employ, as I said, a calorie range, and you can use ChatGPT to help you do that. So to calculate your calorie range, dependent on that overall calorie target that you've got for each day. If my calorie calculator said that you need to eat 1,800 calories per day to lose body fat, you can ask ChatGPT, okay, well, if this was a daily range, what would that be? And it might be, on average, that you can eat somewhere between 1,700 to 1,900 calories, and you would still see that fat loss. And the same thing goes with steps. Maybe we set a range. So it's 12 to 15K steps. And it's okay if you fall on the lower end of that range, if equally on some days you're falling on the higher end. So allow a little bit of flexibility, but ultimately, as long as you're eating less and moving more, that is the golden rules, okay? The golden rules, and being meticulous with tracking. Meticulous with tracking your food or weighing out your food, and being meticulous with tracking your steps, tracking your workouts, tracking your cardio. There is no here, there, in between. You have to be able to say that you have consistently done more each week. And that comes down to the workouts as well, how you're showing up within those workouts. Let me tell you right now, ladies, if you're listening to this and you're not doing some form of resistance training already, and maybe you're just doing cardio, the body that you have in your mind that you desire to get to is not going to happen. Feminine, toned, sculpted figures that look athletic do not come from simply doing cardio. To build and have muscle tone and to look strong yet feminine, you need to lift weights. And there is no risk of you getting bulky, but you need to consistently lift weights. So you need to make sure that each week when you go to the gym, or if you're working out from home, where you can also get absolutely amazing results, as so many of our clients do, you need to make sure that you're consistent with the exercises that you're doing, so you can monitor if you got stronger at those exercises each week. And to be able to do that, you need a workout plan. If you're doing a random Barry's class here, then a random spin class, then maybe you go on a hike one day, or then it's Pilates and yoga, there is no consistency with your body in terms of how it's needing to progress. And also, as much as I hate to say it, beautiful forms of restorative exercise like yoga or core strengthening work like Pilates does not build muscle tone all over your body. Spin classes and Barry's classes, as much as they are great high intensity cardio and they will get you having a good sweat, lots of endorphins released, it's great for burning calories and having a healthy and happy heart, it does not build your muscle and it does not build your bone mineral density. And that's what you need to be worried about if you're wanting to live a strong, happy, healthy life for the rest of your life as a woman. So making sure that you are doing resistance training 2 to 3 times per week as a minimum with a structured plan is a non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable. And what happens if you eat in a calorie deficit without doing resistance training? Well, your body begins to eat into muscle tissue. It's not just fat that will go, it's muscle tissue. So imagine that your body just starts to look like a deflated balloon, which is what happened to me when I first started to lose weight. For the first 6 months of my fitness journey, I did not lift a single weight. All I did was cardio and really restrict my food. And my goodness, my body looked horrendous. I looked small, but I looked flat, skinny fat, no definition. I disliked my body as much as I did when I was overweight. It really made me feel not feminine because I did not have any curves whatsoever. So please make sure that you're doing a structured resistance training program at least 2 to 3 times per week. And if you need any help when it comes to having a workout program, just go and find me on Instagram and send me workout, and I will get back to you with a workout program that is literally designed for where you want to train, if it's at home or if it's at the gym, and for how many days per week you want to train. I'm more than happy to help you out there. So this is what we have so far in order for you to be able to successfully see stubborn body fat come off. It's making sure you've got the right calorie deficit, that you're tracking accurately, and that you are expending more energy over time through steps, through cardio, and also consistently resistance training. That's all well and good, but how do you know if you're actually making progress? And this is where having some real objective measures are important. We're going to be looking at several different modalities here to know if actually things are going in the right direction. Of course, the first thing that most people tend to think about is scale weight. They'll be thinking, how much do I weigh? If I'm currently 150 pounds and I know that I want to lose body fat and we're talking about the title of this video, then I'm thinking about getting down to 140 pounds. Okay, great. We can measure the scale, use the body weight scales as a measure, but ultimately it's not everything. Because if you're starting to build a little bit of muscle, which is going to sculpt your figure, then you might notice that the scale doesn't drop super, super fast whilst you're building a little bit of muscle. You also might find, as a female, that depending on your hormonal profile for that week, that your body weight fluctuates, which is completely normal because we retain more water during certain parts of our menstrual cycle. And then alongside that, there's several other factors. How is your digestion? What time did you eat your final meal? What is the ratio of carbohydrates that you had the day before? There is so many different factors that impact scale weight. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make sure that within your calendar each week, you commit and put aside time to taking some progress photos. Here's what I would recommend. Put your phone on video record. Make sure that you're in a bikini or maybe just your underwear so that you're able to see your whole physique. And make sure that you're from head to toe in frame. Stand in front of the shot and just do a front pose, a side pose, and a back pose. And then after taking that video, you can go and screenshot your front, side, and back profile. Each week, take that video and see whether you can begin to see changes. I'll be honest and say, to our own individual eyes, we can really struggle to see that. Sometimes it takes 3 to 4 weeks to be able to see the progress. If you're someone who you believe that maybe you'll get a little bit too focused on the photos and it might cause you to question your progress, I would say take some starting photos and then in 4 weeks' time, take your next set of photos. However, if you're someone who can trust the process and enjoy the journey, being a little bit more objective and wait until you have some time to compare, but you'd like to see the changes each week, then take them on a weekly basis. But photos tell the biggest story along with measurements. So measuring your hips, your waist, and doing that again, the same time that you take your photos each week, you will be able to see how many inches or centimeters you have had come off your waist and your hips or other parts of your body that you'd like to see changes in. A lot of the time for women, we want to tone up and sculpt our arms. And that's something where you can also take the circumference of your arms. So get a tape measure, get your photos taken each week and make sure that you sit down and you check in with yourself. Have I done what I've needed to this week? Where did things not quite go right? Is there anything that I need to account for when it comes to social occasions that are coming up the next week that I might need to plan around? Do I maybe need to save 100 calories per day in the lead up to a really special social event? But ultimately, if you're tracking body weight, tracking how you feel within your own clothes, and then your measurements and photos, you're going to know if you're headed in the right direction. There is no doubt about that. Finally, and this one is always the one with the biggest weight, is actually making sure that you've got some skin in the game. Put some skin in the game when it comes to your results. You might want your results because you know it's going to mean that you feel better, you carry yourself with more confidence, you can pull out whatever clothes you want from the wardrobe or even go shopping for different outfits and feel so happy when you put those on because of the results that you're seeing. That is what is going to be the reality for you if you do what you need to do. However, sometimes when we're in those moments of low motivation, we've had a hard day, we're feeling like we're absolutely exhausted, our brain's defense mechanism, all of those excuses start to creep in, and before we know it, it's 3 days, 4 days, we haven't done a workout. Maybe the weather's been terrible, so you haven't gone out and got your walk done. Maybe you didn't do the shopping, you haven't got your groceries, and so for that reason, you haven't quite meal prepped as per your meal plan, or you had some convenience food. And if you start to slip into that, if you think you're wanting to see good results in a month, well, if you've had 3 days where you've done nothing and you've fallen off of the bandwagon, you're getting complacent, that's 10% of the progress that you wanted to see in January gone, or in that month that you're in. And actually, by having a coach and someone who cares about you to check in with you frequently, with our clients, we check in with them at least every couple of days. If not, they will send us an end of day summary pretty much every day, so we know how things are going. It means that there's honesty, there's transparency, and there's honestly vulnerability there. So you can say if you're struggling, and then you've got someone who knows a little bit more than you to be able to guide you. Or if you find it's hard to get your workouts done, then why not invest in someone who is going to be there to train you if that is the most difficult part for you? Whatever it might be, having some skin in the game by investing some money and some time into your journey is going to be significantly better at yielding you results. And this is just what I've seen time and time again. We have women come to us who have struggled at some points for decades. We have women who come to us in their 60s, right? Having yo-yo dieted their whole lives, and then they finally get the body fat off and maintain it for good just because they've got someone in their corner who cares for their journey as much as we do. So whatever form of accountability it is, if it's going to workout classes with friends, if it's to a friend or a loved one, sending your progress photos or your body weight, or even if you're having an in-person trainer, or as we are, online coaches that will help you with literally everything from your training to your nutrition, your supplements, anything that you could possibly need support with on your journey, we've got you covered. You need to do it. You need to. And I promise you, it will get you so much better results, so much faster. And if you've enjoyed this video and you'd like some more practical tips specifically within your day about how you can achieve this incredible fat loss result that you're wanting to see, then go and watch my 8-step framework on how to lose body fat fast.